So today we're going to talk RLC circuits. RLC circuits are circuits that has resistors, inductors, and capacitors. For the Kirchhoff's voltage though, we have that LdI over dt plus IR plus 1 over C integral of I dt. However, we can rewrite this in terms of charges so that we can have a second order differential equation. So in this problem, we are supposed that we have a resistor that has a resistance value of 4 ohms. A capacitor whose capacitance is 8 farads, and inductors whose inductance is 1 Henry, which are connected in series. We should find the equation that will determine the charge at any time t given that Q of 0 is 16 coulomb, and the initial conditions are both equal to 0. And lastly, we have to find the charge at time equals 1.75. From this equation, we can rewrite this in terms of charge because we know from our physics that the rate of change of charge with respect to time is equal to current. Then we can rewrite this as L Q double prime plus IR, which is the voltage across resistors, plus Q prime. Then lastly we have Q of over C is equal to, depende sa kung ano magiging katapat nito. Pag 0 siya, homogeneous. Pag hindi siya 0, force vibration. So for this problem, this is a direct substitution problem. So we're going to substitute the values. We have L Q double prime plus R Q prime plus 1 over C is equal to, for this problem, is only equal to 0. And what's the value of L? It's 1 Henry, so we can just negate that as Q. What is the value of our resistor? 4 ohms. For Q plus, what is the value of our farad? That is 1 over 8 farad equal to 0. We have to do the characteristic equations. R squared plus 4R plus 1 over 8 is equal to 0 to get the roots. From here, we're going to use calculator. So, the roots are negative 2 plus and minus 2i. So from this, we can learn that our y sub y, because this is only homogeneous situation, there is no transient solution. We can have this as e to the negative 2t. And this is the angle inside the cosine. Inside. So, I forgot the C1. C1 cosine 2t plus C2 sine 2t. So we have the general solution. However, we have initial conditions, so we can solve for C1 and C2. So we have y sub 0. So we have 0 is equal to e to the 0. Anything raised to 0 is 1. Cosine, so as you can see from here that it's just 0.
Pre, nakalagay.
Okay, due to technical difficulties, it's actually, we have Q of 0 is actually 16, so 16 is equal to C1. So, sorry for that, ma'am, for that mistake. It won't happen again. So, we take the first derivative to get the second equation. So, we use product rule. First, you differentiate the exponential function. Then you retain the second function. Then you ignore this function. Then you differentiate this. This is negative 2 C1 sine of t. 2t plus 2c2 cosine of 2t. So this is the first derivative. Then we equate this to 0. 0 is equal to, this is just negative 2. Negative 2 C1 plus 2 C2. So from this equation, it can be found out that C1 is equal to C2, which is equal to 16. Having found out all the constants, we can write the general solution as y is equal to e to the negative 2t. We can factor up to 16 to make our lives easier. 16e cosine of 2t plus sine 2t. This is the answer for the first problem. But here we have to find the charge. At time, this is the value of charge of the capacitor at any time t. In letter B, we're going to find the charge at time equals 1.75. So this is very easy. Q 1.75 is equal to 16e to the negative 3.5 cosine of plus sine of 3.5. Or for this problem, we are going to use the calculator because here, unless we want to use differentials, we have to use calculator. So the value is at time equals 1.75 seconds, the Q at 1.75 is equal to 0.5118 coulomb. So as you can see, it is actually good.
In this problem, we will now test the independence or dependence of the previous problem, where we will test into the process of Romero. So again, we have the values of inductance equals 1 Henry, resistance equals 4 ohms, and the capacitance equals 1/4 farad. So again, we have the equation LQ double prime plus RQ prime plus Q over C equals to 0. So if we will substitute these values, we will have the equation Q double prime plus 4Q prime plus Q over 1/4 equal to 0. So this is also equal to Q double prime plus 4Q prime plus 4Q equal to 0. So we will use the characteristic equation. So R squared plus 4R plus 4 equal to 0. So now we will factor this out.
Negative 2, negative 2.
So we have the
R plus
factor
2. Oh, negative 2 is sagot.
R plus 2 and R plus 2 equal to 0. So we have the factors negative 2 and negative 2. So if we will translate it, we will have y equals e raised to negative 2t plus e raised to t e raised to negative 2t.
Ba't may in extra?
Joke. There's no e. There's no e. So to test the the independence, we'll use the Wronskian method. So in the Wronskian method, W is equal to y1, y1 prime, y2, and y2 prime. So if this is not equal to 0, this is said to be independent. Yan. So now we will just plot these values here. So our y1 is e raised to negative 2t, and our y2 is t e raised to negative 2t. So the derivative of e raised to negative 2t is negative 2 e raised to 2t, and t e raised to negative 2t is e raised to negative 2t plus negative 2t e raised to negative 2t. So now we will just do that. Multiply and then minus multiply. So e raised to negative 4t plus 2t e raised to negative 4t minus negative 2t e raised to negative 4t. So cancel. So e is equal to negative 4t, which is not equal to 0. So the function is independent.
The third part of the problem, we put now voltage source which has a function of cosine t. And in this video, we will use the variation of parameters in order to solve this kind of problem. First, we need to determine the coefficients through MUC.
Two different coefficients. Different coefficients.
And for that, we need to define the IVP. To find the IVP, put the value of RLC to the general equation of this. And now Q double prime plus 4Q prime plus Q over 1 over 1 equals to cosine T. And we will get now the characteristic equation of this IVP. To get the characteristic equation, let this variable equal to r. R squared plus 4r plus 4 equals to 0. Factoring this quadratic equation, r is equals to negative 2 and negative 2. We can now put this into the equation y sub c. E negative 2t plus t e negative 2t. Wait. Y sub c equals to c1 plus c2. From the previous video, we got the value of y sub c is equals to c1 e raised to negative 2t plus c2t e raised to negative 2t. And applying the Wronskian, we get the values of e raised to negative 4t. So in this video, we apply the variation of parameters, which is the formula of y sub t is equals to negative y1 integral of y2 g of t over Wronskian dt plus y2 integral of y1 g of t over Wronskian dt. Substituting all the values, negative e raised to negative 2t integral of y2 is e raised to negative 2t
May T pa, may T.
cosine t d over Wronskian, which is e raised to negative 4t dt plus y2, which is d e raised to negative 2t integral of y1 is e raised to negative 2t times cosine t over Wronskian dt. To get the values of y sub t, you need to apply the techniques of integration, which is the integration by parts. When you do the integration by parts, you can now solve the general solution for this problem.
First, we'll be defining the variables involved. Then we'll be defining the differential. Then we'll be defining the differential equation. The one shown here is a differential equation. Then we'll be defining the initial value conditions. Then we will be joining these two conditions as one. Then we will be finding the solution to the differential equation. We will be using the desolve function used in MATLAB. Then we will be simplifying the solution. And the one shown here is the solution to the differential equation.